Good morning, everyone. My name is Eltimar, and we are going to be continuing our Let's Play of Shadowrun Hong Kong, where we left off last time. We had gotten some information from the plastic-faced man. His memory was wiped, and we did let him go. We're going to go back to Haoi now, which means another loading screen, but we get an outro type thing. The trip from Shekip Mei back to Haoi is quiet as you process the information revealed by the plastic-faced man. Prosperity is a name, two names actually. One is the secret project Raymond was working on before he left for Seattle. The other is the corporate headquarters of Sang Mechanical Services. And Prosperity Tower is where Raymond Black is being held, alive. It's also where his memory is in the process of being reprogrammed by his mother, and time is ticking. The plastic-faced man proves surprisingly amenable and quite useful. Perhaps that's why you let him go. The next stop is Kindly Cheng. She'll want to hear this, although you may leave out the part about letting him go. She might not be super thrilled that we let him go there. Also, why is it not loading? Well, we can continue, and we're hoping that the game does its thing. Okay, good, it did. Whew. Sometimes you're never quite sure what's going to happen. You step out of the MTR station and into the balmy night air. An impenetrable wall of clouds, heavy with imminent rain, has blown in from the south. It covers the stars, causes them to wink out one by one. You can smell something on the air, something electric. The wind whips up around you, and the clouds begin moving in thick grayscale swirl. The spiral builds and grows, shimmering with faint amber light. As you watch the clouds roil in the sky, the sounds of the city retreat. A bubble of soft white noise replaces them, wrapping around your head and reflecting your own heartbeat back on you. You look down from the clouds to see the lights of the docks dancing in a warm, saturated bloom. Head back to the Kraken. You turn to head back towards the Kraken, towards your teammates, and the relative comfort of your new home. And that's when the first twinge tickles your chest, lets you know something's coming. A moment later, you feel an incredible tightness in your chest. It feels like your heart is being crushed under the foot of a giant. Your vision goes grey and your sense of balance disappears. Gradually, blood rushes in to refill the organ, inflating it like a balloon. I don't have any of the skills for that. Try and catch my breath. You gasp for air, it doesn't come. Your breath shallows out, thins, makes you gasp like a suffocating fish. Your chest contracts again and again as you struggle to take a breath. You stumble forward and every cell in your body seems to vibrate, and energy thrums inside of you, pulsating, building into an unbearable crescendo. And then you're on the other side of it. You find yourself standing in a familiar courtyard, the walled city. You're back in the walled city just like in your dreams. You can taste the stench of the place, the mildew and plaster, and wet dog stink of the slum. A dream. This has to be a dream. You try and blink away the image of the walled city to blot out the sounds and stench of the slum. You pinch yourself. You don't wake up. The crumbling facades of tenement buildings lean into one another above you, closing in on either side, creating a narrow walkway. Just like your dreams, there's nowhere else to go, nowhere but forward, down the path ahead. Let's start walking. You let your legs carry you forward. You feel a creeping sense of certainty in the back of your mind, and it tells you you've taken the same walk hundreds of times before. A sense of claustrophobia mounts and builds with every step you take. It feels like you're worming your way forward down a long, dark tunnel. The humidity of the place sticks to your skin. As you proceed deeper into the walled city, a low rumble fills the air, the noise of enormous gears in motion. You feel hollow, empty, and with every step you take, you feel that emptiness growing, an unbearable yearning unlike any hunger you've ever known. Continue forward. You continue walking just as you always have, just as you were meant to. Off in the distance, an alien silhouette beckons to you. It's her, the tall, slender thing from your dreams, the elusive figure you've always been moving towards but can never quite reach. A crowd of locals lines the path ahead, kneeling in supplication. They look emaciated, all skin and bones, clothed head to toe in dirty rags. Ignore them and keep moving. You brush past the kneeling figures and continue forward. As you do so, a mounting sense of correctness builds in your chest. These people are beneath your notice. They should be ignored. Your feet carry you past them, and soon enough they fade from view. Your legs carry you deeper and deeper into the beating heart of the tenement. If you hadn't reached the center yet, you must be close. It's incredibly hot and humid in here. The sweat rolls down your body in sheets. Your thoughts go hazy with the heat, and a dim sense of unease takes root in the pit of your stomach. Push through it. You grit your teeth and push forward, struggling to ignore the fog. The omnipresent sound of grinding gears isn't helping. Looking up, you can see where the noise is coming from. A hatch. The same door that you saw in your nightmare back when all of this began. The markings on the door are legible now. A single word in faded yellow paint. Prosperity. Suddenly, and possibly the alien figure that you've been moving towards is standing right in front of you, At the same time, your vision finally clears and ice water runs through your veins. The walled city isn't a slum at all, it's an enormous gaping maw, and the buildings are a forest of crooked teeth. The thing reaches for you. With inhuman speed and grace, it plunges fingers of polished ivory into your mouth. Slowly, terribly, it begins to wrench your jaw open. You can feel your teeth splinter, break, and... Rough fingers on your shoulders snap you back to reality. The hand clenches you in a vice-like grip and yanks you backwards off your feet. You come crashing down to the floor of the Hawaii MTR station. You can feel the rush of wind just in front of you, a passing train. What's wrong with you, Eltimar? Strangler Bao eyes you coolly. Anti-Cheng has lost too many runners already. Besides, there are cleaner ways to end your life than jumping in front of a train. I was just in the walled city. There was a thing. He cuts you off with a grunt. You were hallucinating, and you almost got yourself killed. Now get up. Get back to that floating wreck you sleep in. You don't get to die here unless Mr. Chang says you do. I see. We got extra karma for that. We have lots of karma now. We have tons. We should probably go to the boat. Apparently there are 2 side quests we haven't done yet. Gobbets and... Oh god, I've forgotten his name. We've never used him. Gaishu? Yeah, Gaishu. How much karma do we have now? We have 20 karma! Let's spend some. My game is like weirdly lagging a tiny bit. I don't love it, but we'll figure it out in a minute. And I'm gonna take 7 quickness as well. So we've maxed out our cyberware, which gives it armor piercing, which is pretty nice. Alright, let's... Oh, we can't get in our boat. Damn it, we have to go to the stupid parlor. Alright, fine. We'll go to the boat afterwards, maybe? Hopefully. Everybody's here again. Alright, kindly, talk to me. You walk through the mahjong parlor, the walk through the mahjong parlor is punctuated by the tantalizing smell of coconut and fried confection. Your crew surrounds Kylie Chang, watching uncomfortably as she peels a small egg-shaped delicate from a waffle-like pastry and pops them into her mouth. Each time she does, her eyes close in ecstasy and a soft sound comes from her throat. There you are, Eltimar. Your crew here tells me you are able to locate and interrogate the plastic-faced man. The straw sandal's eyes narrow and her rusty voice takes on a jagged edge. They haven't told me his current disposition, however. I assume everything went as instructed. We managed to extract valuable information from him. Her eyes remain narrow. So he's dead? No, I let him walk away. Kindly Cheng folds her hands, and her face becomes perfectly still. 10 seconds go by. When she speaks again, her voice is calm. I thought it was clear that I wanted him dead. His memory was gone. He wasn't a player anymore. Your actions don't send a strong message to Josephine Sang. When I tell you I want someone dead, I prefer that they become dead. I do the strategy. You execute the strategy. She surveys your crew. Shadowrunners who wish to remain under my protection must remember their places. Her stiff eyebrows rise. That said, you succeeded in removing one of her pieces from the board, so let's move on. She pops an egg pastry into her mouth. I trust you got something useful out of the plastic-faced man before you let him go. We got plenty. Wu sounds eager. He gave us a data dump on everything he knew about Prosperity Tower, first-hand info. Josephine's headquarters. She puts on the pastry and rubs her nose, considering. That could be useful, I suppose. What do you intend to do with it? We're going to rescue Raymond. He's alive, Auntie, just like I said he was. Josephine's holding him there. She's doing something to his brain. Something to his brain? She takes another bite of her pastry. What's that old bitch up to now? Based on the memory that Mr. Plastic showed us, it looks like she's trying to rewire her son's memories using something called ASSIST, Artificial Sensory Induction Systems Technology. It allows the user to record, reprocess, and feed synthetic sensory input to the brain. Like a SimSense chip. Yes, Auntie. It's a technology that led to SimSense. It's also what allows Deckers to enter the Matrix and grants riggers a neural connection to their drones. An expert ASSIST technician could alter someone's personality, memory, even identity. Sounds complicated. It is. It requires a massive amount of computing power. It's not like a temporary SimSense experience. Changing someone's memories requires a world-class expert in ASSIST. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing to him, but I'm guessing that his mom wants him to forget something, or to remember it differently, maybe. And we have no idea what that is. Isabel hesitates. No, not a clue. All we know is that she's holding him in Prosperity Tower while her people work on him. The woman takes depravity to a whole new level. She's rewiring her son's brain. Wu rubs his head in frustration. Who the hell does that? Let's stay focused, Duncan. Isabel turns to the rest of you. Mr. Plastic dropped us a couple terabytes of data on Prosperity Tower right out of his brain. Gunshow and I have been studying it. Lots of good intel to mine in there. Just what we need to make a run at the place and hope to get out alive. How do we make our approach? Fortunately, Prosperity Tower is one of Sang's lower security locations. It's mostly administrative marketing, that sort of thing. That's good. Kindly turned to Enforcer. Mr. Bao, give the runners those old Sang security passes you used on that hijack last year. Yes, Miss Cheng, they'll get them. Those passes should get you through the lobby. The Triad boss pokes a fingernail between your teeth and dislodges a piece of pastry. You'll still have to explain your presence, Eltimar, so don't expect to just walk on through. What about that junk data you held on to after the Wuxing run, Isabel? Anything in there we can use? Good thinking, and I'm already ahead of you. I scoured the leftover Wuxing paperwork and found a way to change our status to Special Couriers. We can use that to pose as a third-party Wuxing... pose as a third-party Wuxing uses to deliver important packages. That'll work for a while, but we can't expect to stay in cover for long. One way or another, things are going to get hot. The loading dock sounds like the edge we need. Let's do it. Okay, I'll get us booked into Zhang's system and print off some matching papers. We'll need a van to make it look legit. Bao, consider it done. Tell me about the security setup. How do we get to Raymond? The key to this operation are the 3 security stations located on different floors. The matrix systems in these security stations are the command and control hubs for the entire building's security. As such, they're the best place to find out where Raymond Black is being held. That's all we got in his location? All we know is that he's being held somewhere called Lab 12. But where that is or how to get in there is something we'll need to figure out on site. If all things go hostile, the best thing to do is get an alarm panel or a matrix security node and shut things down. Sorry, my dog's doing something weird and I was like, what are you doing? If we're noticed, we'll have a brief window to cut the link to the alarm system. If we do that, it will isolate the whole floor from the security system. The rest of the building won't know what's happening there. If the alarm goes off, we cut the link to the alarm system, we can spoof the system, tell it we've moved on to another location. That might work once or twice, but if we spoof too many alarms, they'll figure it out. How long is the brief window to cut the alarm? Maybe 30 seconds? Maybe less if the network isn't so cluttered with traffic. If there's a failsafe so security doesn't stampede all over the building if a janitor forgets to close a door. Well, I guess that's all we need to know. How do we stop the assist thing from rewiring Raymond? All we know is that the assist device is located in Lab 12. That's the only one in the building. I doubt that Grandma will just hand over the passcodes to her system, so we'll need a Decker to access the assist device and eject him from the system safely before she scrambles his brain. Got it. What does the Decker need to do to eject him safely? Like I said, we don't know. We're gonna have to improvise, figure that out when we get there. Okay, that's all. One other thing. While I was helping Duncan verify much of the data as I could, I decided to collect our marker with Bull and his team of runners. Good call, we need the help we can get. She looks at Wu, her eyes big and round. Yeah, no kidding. Turns out Bull and our runner friends hit Zhang a few months back, low-rent smash and grab for another corp, but they got a quick stand at the building matrix security before they rabbited. They gave us data flags that pinpoint where the security nodes are located inside of Zhang's system. So when we jack into the security station, we'll be able to make a direct attack on the security node. That could buy us seconds. We'll need to cut the alarm link. Nice work. Finally cuts in, licking her fingers with loud smacking noises. One more thing, Eltimar. While you're in her headquarters, look for anything we can use to incriminate or embarrass Josephine Sang. I want dirt, something I can feed to an acquaintance on the Executive Council. Someone who stands to gain from it. Does the dirt come with a cash bonus? She pops another egg treat into her mouth, and her eyes close with pleasure. Of course, my sweet, of course. Now go enjoy Prosperity Tower, she smiles wolfishly, and give Sang my regards. We got 4 more karma just for being in a conversation, which means I think we can get another ranged combat skill. Can we go to our boat, though? We should probably do this. Yes, okay, good. We should probably talk to some of our people. Mainly Gaishu and, oh, we can't go down... Oh, never mind. It's just really early in the morning, guys. Alright, let's go talk to Gaishu. See if we can pick up his side quest still. The cabin is silent aside from the occasional swish of air as Gaishu steps through sword forms. He holds each stance for a few seconds, practicing a given swing a few times before switching to the next. Hello, Eltimar. A single bead of sweat rolls down Gaishu's temple as he holds his position. After a few moments, he shifts to a relaxed stance, starting the form again. Pardon me for continuing my exercises. I feel that I've been letting them slip of late. Word you're getting rusty? No, that's not quite it. Rather, I wish to learn to bring my enhanced strength and speed to bear. In order to do so, I must ensure that my blindness does not hinder me. Perfection is a journey, not a destination. Gaishu lifts his sword, offering it edge first to you. Do you see that edge? Forged by one of the finest swordsmen in modern Japan. Diamond-coated edge, capable of cutting even the most hardened ceramic armors. But what good is a sharpened edge without the precision to apply it? While I was still a man, I could have cut a single pea in half with my eyes closed. Oddly, after becoming blind, I cannot replicate this feat. Running the back of a claw along the blade's surface, Gaishu smiles thinly. I think I will soon be able to perform this feat again. I simply have to train my body to ignore the senses that it no longer has, and pay attention to the new ones. Now, what would you like to discuss? Tell me about when your old unit ambushed you. Very well. My time in Fukuoka was tense. Since leaving Kaihanshin, I had to be careful to stay out of sight. By moving on foot or in the back of automated delivery vans. I was running out of food, however, and I needed to be in a city for that. Fukuoka is big enough to get lost in, but not so large that a ghoul sighting would go unnoticed. I hid in abandoned buildings and storm drainage systems, and for 2 weeks I managed to stay hidden. The strain of having to constantly move was wearing on me, however, and I made a mistake. What happened? I had to get out of Japan, but all my contacts in Fukuoka had come up empty-handed when I asked for a way to China. I was running low on money, and I could feel the team catching up with me. A contact of mine in Kumamoto offered me a favor and arranged passage for me if I could reach the city in 48 hours. Gaishu closes his eyes, resting his face in one palm. If I had taken my time, I could have made it to Kumamoto without incident, but I let caution slip when I got his email. I thought if I disguised myself, I could take the train there, get out before my unit got any closer to finding me. I still don't know how they found me. Magical tracking, perhaps, or simply a well-placed or well-developed spy network. Regardless, they found me, and they were waiting for me at the Hakata station. It was an ambush. It's a very public place for an ambush. It is. I suspect their orders were clear, however. Do whatever it takes to kill me, civilians expendable. For units like the Red Samurai, ordinary laws do not apply. The mission's success is the only concern. I had taken steps to disguise myself as best I could, relying on the sheer number of people to conceal my presence. I suspected that the team might attack while I was in public, but I did not realize just how expendable civilians were. When they blew the C4 charges all over the station's western entrance just to box me in, I realized how much I had underestimated them. I assumed that the train had derailed, honestly, but then I smelled the telltale acrid vapor of the explosives. Gaishu wrinkles his nose at the memory. Once you smell it, you'll never forget. The plastic explosive that we used has a particularly sharp odor, like old cheese. Something to do with the olfactory tangent added to help track if it's stolen. I remember stumbling through the dust and debris, trying to find my way to the rail platforms. They attacked from all sides, using the confusion to strike me at once. I could hear Ishida and Takagawa behind me. Aomori and Sasaki charged out of an access corridor just ahead of me, or just ahead of where I'd been standing. Sasaki threw a firewall down behind me, cutting off retreat. Well, Aomori started firing. Sounds like you didn't have much of a choice but to defend yourself. Gaishu nods, lips pursed. Yes, that is so. Trading took over. I knew I had to survive, and I was not thinking about anything but survival. So I charged Sasaki and Aomori. They were only 15 meters from me. The only advantage I had was that they were blinded by the dust as I was, but I could still hear and smell them. Sasaki threw a lightning bolt at me, but I managed to roll under it. As I came up, Aomori's light machine gun was swiveling down. I felt time stretch out as I stared down the barrel. I caught Aomori in the throat with the tip of my sword. It was a maneuver I'd practiced hundreds of times before. There was no resistance as I cut through his trachea, and he fell as I rolled to the side. I can hear him choking for breath as he dropped. Gaishu exhales a humorless laugh and shakes his head. It's strange to think how clear that memory is, even now. He was your friend, that kind of thing will stick with you. Gaishu snorts, waving a hand dismissively. Spare me the 2 Nuyen psychiatry. Obviously what you say is true, but the memory sticks with me so strongly for another reason. It was in that strike that I realized who I truly was. My whole time with the Red Samurai, I had focused on ensuring that I was worthy of the team. Everyone felt that way, but I felt it more acutely than most. I've always wanted to be the best, the fastest, the most precise. In the Red Samurai, I felt that to be less than perfect would let the team down. We were always told how lucky we were to have been accepted into the unit. The moment my sword struck Aomori, I knew that I would survive the fight. They attacked me as they would an animal. They seemed to be counting on hurting me into Takagawa and Ishida. Aomori didn't even try to get out of the way of the sword strike. I remember his eyes going wide. He looked surprised that I was using a weapon and not my claws. That's a fatal mistake. Gaishu nodded sharply. They thought they were fighting a beast. I would never have underestimated them as they did me. All the lessons I taught them about close combat, they threw out the window as soon as their preconceptions entered the battlefield. Disgraceful. As I killed Aomori, I realized that it was not that I was unworthy of the Red Samurai, but that they were unworthy of me. What did it mean that I, an infected monster that was less than a beast, could still defeat the finest soldiers in the world? Red Samurai doctrine taught Aomori and the others not to fear me, and this overconfidence would be their death. I realized I'd progressed beyond their ability to understand. My sword was as accurate as ever, but they could not account for it due to ideological blindness. That is the danger of letting ideology overrule facts. Precisely. All those years I was worried I was not good enough to be a member of the Red Samurai, that somehow they'd been pulling my weight. But I'd been blind to all the ways in which we were not training, or had avoided the harsh truths about our own abilities. We were so often told of our own excellence that I wondered if we'd ever truly been tested. Sasaki was the next to fall. As I turned away from Aomori, I realized she must have seen me strike him, and her eyes were wide. I could feel her fear and anger as she tried to summon another spell. She seemed caught between healing Aomori and attacking me. Gaishu taps himself on the forehead just above his right eye. It was there, on Sasaki, a downward stroke from Joden's stance. She had hesitated, just as Aomori had. I felt the breath go out of her like somebody had deflated a tire. She just slid down into a pile. I think she was trying to ask me how when I ran. What about Ashida and Takagawa? My goal was survival, not victory. Takagawa was too far away, and I did not see Ashida. I only smelled him, so I ran. The trains had shut down due to the explosion, but as long as I could get out of Hakata Station, I knew I could escape. They did not follow me out of the city proper. From what I heard via the Matrix, the event was reported as a terrorist attack that was thwarted by brave Renraku soldiers. Gaishu snorts, lips curled downwards. Brave, foolish soldiers. Has it been difficult to learn to fight while blind? It's not the easiest thing I've ever attempted, but neither is it the hardest. Placing the sword off to the one side, Gaishu turns to face you. Emptiness is form, one of the great lessons of the Hagakure. Train sufficiently, and both swordsmanship and obedience will come instinctively. That is the closest to perfection a man can attain. Does that mean in a perfect world you would have gotten yourself killed when you got infected? If an order should be unjust or foolish, it should not be followed. To waste a skilled warrior as they would have by killing me, it is unacceptable. Obedience without thought is to be cultivated, but so is the moral fortitude to know when to disagree. When I was new to the unit, I thought that to be a good samurai was the ultimate goal, that to serve justly with dedication was the greatest honor a warrior could have. We were all young and foolish once, I suppose. That kind of ideology only serves the powerful. There are those who require a rigid structure and hierarchy in order to prosper. For them, that kind of regimented life is for the best, and it's no surprise that they serve the powerful. What are the Red Samurai if not an organization pledged to serve the elite? I thought it was such for me as well until the ambush in Fukuoka. We were taught that we were superior to everyone, that since we were pure humans and Japanese, we would always win. I believe that most never question the validity of this claim, even when confronted with direct evidence to the contrary. If you killed 2 of them, why are they still hunting you? Gaishu does not answer immediately. He seems uneasy with the question, fidgeting with his fingers. I'm unsure why that would make a difference. Can you explain what you're driving at? The unit's down 3 members. Why not give up on you? Ah, I see. I think your mistake is seeing this from a practical perspective. The problem is emotional, not mechanical. Holding his arms over his chest, Gaishu continues to explain. The nature of Red Samurai assignments is such that losses are generally 0, or the entire team. In those rare cases when Red Samurai teams suffer partial losses, the remnants of the impacted teams are shuffled together to undergo retraining. Sasaki and Aomori will undoubtedly be replaced. The problem is that I cannot be replaced. Simply put, I'm not dead. Ordinarily, a missing Red Samurai would be considered dead for purposes of reorganizing teams, but Renraku knows precisely what has happened to me. What's more, my failure to do my duty reflects badly on the unit. The others will undoubtedly resist joining my former squad, as it has been tainted. So until they kill you, nobody wants to join their club. Gaishu nods his assent. Yes, that's the case. They cannot move forward and rebuild the core of the unit unless I die, both because of their expectations and the stain on their honor. Even if they accepted my decision, the rest of the Red Samurai would not. They've hunted me in Japan, Shanghai, and Beijing, and I'm certain they hunt me here now in Hong Kong. The cycle will continue, endlessly for the foreseeable future, such is the way of things. Would it be easier if you faced them down instead of run? How do you mean? I faced them several times in the past in Fukuoka and Shanghai. Unless you have a deeper meaning I'm unaware of, I've already done as you suggest. You're simply letting them come to you. Take the fight to them. Gaishu pulls back as if you slapped him. What do you suggest? That I hunt them down while they sleep and murder them in cold blood? You define yourself by your opposition to your old life. What? Blinking a few times. Gaishu leans closer to you. I'm unsure I clearly understand your meaning. Can you explain yourself more clearly? Think about it. You get to live as the Ronin Red Samurai unfairly cast out by his unit. Ah, and you believe that absent my opposition I would have little to define myself. That is a very cheap philosophy, Eltimar, and unworthy of you. Prove me wrong. Who are you without your unit? Drawing himself up and puffing out his chest, Gaishu glares at you. You tell me, what do you see? I'm the creature that stands in front of you. What is it that I am, in your opinion? A free man who can choose to live as he pleases. Yes, that is what I am. So why is it you do not accept that this is what I am doing? I seek to perfect myself, my skills, my abilities in combat. Perhaps this is not the path I would have walked when I was younger, but I have been a soldier for so long that I cannot imagine devoting myself to any other trade. This does not mean I'm tied inextricably to my unit. It simply means I'm shaped by my history, as are we all. I appreciate your concern about my history and my unit, but I assure you I'm doing all right. I must learn to adapt to my new condition on my own. The time will come when they find me in Hong Kong. So what will you do about your unit when they come looking for you in Hong Kong? I'm unsure. You've given me a great deal to consider, and I do not mean that lightly. There are several actions and possible outcomes I foresee. I could, as I have before, relocate to another city. Flee Hong Kong, travel to somewhere further afield. Lagos, perhaps, or Montreal. It would have to be someplace where Renraku's influence was minimal, and where the unit's presence would be immediately noticeable. This has been my plan of action in the past. I could also keep a low profile staying here, hope that they're unable to find precisely where I'm hiding. Undoubtedly, Ishida would command this team to keep looking. I believe it would only be a matter of time before they found me, but if it were a sufficiently long time, they might be recalled. I could also confront them, drawing them out into the open at a time and place of my choosing. They are nothing if not predictable in their efforts to follow Red Samurai operational doctrine. That plan could succeed, but it could also put you and civilians at risk. I'm unsure how I would draw them out in the first place. You need to find a way to fight them. Gaishu sides, shoulders slumping a little. I'm unsure if that's the wisest course of action. I'm going to need to think about this a great deal. Please, let me think on this. I will have an answer later. Well, I need an answer now because we're leaving towards the end of the game. Could we speak later, Eltimar? I'm feeling a little distracted at the moment. We can actually sleep. We haven't actually slept in this game ever. Except for that first night, I think. I wonder if we can sleep. Oh, we don't have a bed option. I guess, oh, we have a stash, but we can't sleep anymore. So, that's that. Gobbet, let's go talk to her. Gobbet glances up at the sound of your approach. A slight smile crosses her face. Hey, pal. She puts her hands on her hips, sending madness growing. Ready for your next lesson? Absolutely, hit me with it. Straight to business, I like that good. This one is about people like Auntie Cheng and why we need them. There won't be a QA session after the story, but I want you to listen, it's important. Yep. Alright, so here's the upfront lesson. Fixers are important. You can't just go Johnson yourself and get a job. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. It's a bad idea, all around. Okay, go on. The reason why it's a bad idea to cut people like Auntie Cheng out is because you need someone to vet your clients. That's important. It protects the whole team. Takes a deep breath and lets out slowly. You remember the lesson from last time? The one about Sui and the shiny object? Yep. Well, after the run was over, we went back to the sinking ship for some R&R. Sui had told us the client would be sending a boat to collect the shiny object in the morning. All we had to do was keep the thing safe until the handoff. We were in a celebratory mood. We killed an evil wizard, stolen a priceless artifact, a good night's work by anyone's standards. Hanu and Egret got good and drunk in record time. So we went back to his cabin with the shiny object to, I don't know, stare at it a while or something. I returned to my cabin and crashed out. It had been a long night. I remember waking up to sounds of yelling, maybe? I was groggy and they were far away. I couldn't quite make them out. The clock said 4:30. People were always partying on the raft, playing loud music, shooting off fireworks, that kind of thing. So loud noises early in the morning weren't unusual, but something felt off somehow. How so? It's hard to describe. A queasy feeling in the pit of my stomach, an elevated heartbeat, rapid shallow breaths. It was a lot like panic attack, really, not the kind of thing you can sleep through. So I got up to investigate. If something was wrong, I wanted to know, and if it wasn't, I figured I might as well get in on the party. I stepped out into the hallway and my foot slipped. I came down hard, landed on my ass, and found myself sitting in a pool of blood. Well, that's not good. No, it was pretty bad. She shakes her head, grimacing. So it was pretty obvious by this point that something had gone horribly wrong. My first thought was that the shiny object might have, I don't know, unleashed something. After what I saw it do in the warehouse, I wouldn't have been surprised. I shook that off pretty quickly, though. I knew what this was. Our client was playing us. He'd hired us to steal the thing, and rather than pay for the job, he sent another team to take it away. So what'd you do? I got up, beeline straight for Malvina's cabin. She was the closest thing in the sinking ship I had to a leader, and the strongest rat shaman on the raft. If the raft was under attack, that's probably what I would have done too. Yeah, it seemed like the right thing at the time. If there was a retrieval team coming for the shiny object and they were strong enough to handle Sui while he was holding it, what chance would I have of stopping them on my own? I figured that it was time to bring out the big guns. Malvina was the one whom I could get them from. I passed some pretty bad stuff on the way down to Malvina's cabin. It was old man Zuyan's vault all over again. The torn up bodies, the blood-streaked floors. I saw people who had been cut apart with machetes, scorch marks on container walls. She bites her lip, grimacing at the unpleasant memories stewing in her head. Deep down in the pit of my gut, I could feel that thrumming vibration of the shiny object, that heartbeat feeling that I had in the warehouse. It was back and stronger than ever. Whatever that rock was, it was awake. Did you make it to Malvina's cabin? Yes, I burst through the door, ready to spread the news, and someone smashed a gun into my face. It was Cadmus, my friend. He jammed the muzzle of his super warhawk into my cheek so hard it hurt, then grabbed me by the belt with his other hand. I wasn't going anywhere. Just over his shoulder I saw Malvina. She didn't look amused. Did they think you were in on the attack somehow? Yeah, only it wasn't an attack. Our client had nothing to do with it. Turned out there was no client. Sui had lied to us, and by helping to steal the shiny object, had unwittingly given him what he needed to foment a mutiny. She pauses for a moment, gathers her rats in her hands, and lifts them to her shoulders. They scurry over the leather of her coat and disappear into her hair. As it turns out, betrayal hurts, Seattle. Malvina felt it, and I felt it too. Sui had been a friend. I just risked my life to save his, like 4 hours ago, and he tricked me into helping him do something unthinkable. Why do you think he did it? Why all this over a heap of junk floating in a bay? I don't know, maybe he'd gone toxic, maybe he got ambitious, he even wanted to be the king of our little aquatic hill. He didn't discuss it with me first or anything. I'd be willing to bet that something had gone rotten in Sui long before we met. He was pretty damn good at hiding it. Maybe it happened recently, could have been possessed. She holds up a hand. I don't know why he did it. Frankly, I don't care. The only thing that's important is that he did. So what'd you do? What could I do? I didn't have a whole lot of options, and Cadmus was kind of on edge, like red-faced and screaming, so I opened my mouth and fast-talked my way out of it. I started off by doubling down on my loyalty to Malvina, Cadmus, and the status quo on the sinking ship, swearing my undying friendship. You know, the drill. I did a good job of it, but they still looked a little iffy. Iffy with a warhawk is bad, so I volunteered to prove myself by stealing the shiny object back from Sui. That was brave of you. I know, right? Not my style at all, but then I didn't really have a choice. I'd inadvertently helped to arm the bastard who was tearing our friends and neighbors apart. I don't think I could have cleared my name without taking his weapon away again. It was a hell of a night. I don't want to get into too many details. Friends died, hell, friends killed each other. It was brother against brother, all that jazz. And Sui's indiscriminate use of the shiny object had let a lot of things into this world that shouldn't have been. Did you get a good view of them this time? Yeah, I wish I hadn't, but I did. I don't really know how to describe the things. They were like animals, but wrong. Too many tails, bones in the wrong places, huge open sores, that kind of thing. Most of them were spirits manifested in physical form, I think. They took the form of rats, swarms of insects, rotting things, all the old pestilence tropes. Sometimes there were colonies of things, all tangled together, moving as one. Not the sort of thing I want to see again, ever. So anyway, long story short, I got the shiny object back from Sui. It wasn't easy, but I got it. And I took it back to Malvina. She put the thing to better use than Sui ever did. She took the thing like she'd grown up using it. We still lost dozens of people, but Sui's side lost more. Cadmus was critically wounded, but he pulled through. After the skirmish, Malvina had held an assembly. She told everyone there'd be new rules for life on the raft, and anyone who refused to follow them could leave, and if you broke them, you were done. The rules of the sea and all that. After the pronouncement, she turned on the surviving mutineers. Hanu was one of them. He'd been on Sui's plan the whole time. She didn't kill them, but she did exile them from our sinking ship. As for people in our economic bracket, that was as good as a one-way trip to the walled city. I'd be willing to bet they're all dead by now. In the wake of Malvina's ultimatum, 5 survivors left the sinking ship, and I was one of them. Why'd you leave? I had to go. We may have washed the blood off the decks, but the energy of the sinking ship had changed. It wasn't the carefree haven that I'd loved anymore, and as sensible as Malvina's rules were, I wasn't up to living up to them. We parted on good but sad terms, and as you'd expect, we drifted apart over the years. It's funny, I haven't thought about Malvina or the sinking ship in years. Not until I decided to teach you your previous lesson, and it all came flooding back in. She pauses and turns to you. That's the story, it's finished, but I want to circle back on the lessons that I gave you up front, because it's important. We need Auntie Cheng to bring us work. That's obvious. But we also need her to keep us honest, to be sure that we on the team are playing straight with one another. Auntie Cheng's reputation rides on the legitimacy of the job she brings us, and that, more than anything, is why we need her. If we didn't have Auntie Cheng or someone like her, we'd eventually tear ourselves apart. It happened on the sinking ship, and it could happen in Hawaii. So anyways, that's the lesson. If you got follow-up questions, go ahead and ask them. What did Malvina do with the shiny object? Well, first she used it to get rid of the things that Sui had let loose, and then she put it away for safekeeping. It's probably still there on the sinking ship, ensconced in some shrine or another, held under lock and key. She should have tossed the thing into the bay. Yeah, agreed, I didn't like it either, but then she'd already proven that she could handle the thing, and it did help her put down Sui's mutiny. Plus, she's a shaman. We deal with dangerous magic beyond mortal ken on a daily basis. It's not that weird for us. Hey, if you say so. Like I said, I would prefer it if she'd ditched the thing, but in the end, it wasn't my choice to make. From what little I heard, she's still in power over there, so I guess that worked out okay. And Sui, what happened to him? That walking colostomy bag was already dead, eaten by his own monsters after I took the shiny object away. Turns out he wasn't much good at controlling them without it. Her voice fills with grim satisfaction. He didn't even live long enough to watch his mutiny fail. Any thoughts on the last run? I think we're closing in on the end here, Seattle. With the data we got from Plastic Face Man, Josephine's number is just about up. Just think, you'll be able to get your dad back. That's gotta be worth something, right? Can't believe you told Kylie Cheng we let the plastic guy go, though. I mean, we still have our skin and we aren't chained to a rock at the bottom of the lake, so I'm counting that a win. But still, next time, just lie, okay? The gentle pat turns into slaps. Her smile looks forced. I'm not joking, by the way. Don't do that again, seriously. That's it. Sure, in Seattle, thanks for listening. These lessons are for your benefit, but I think that they help me too. And it's nice to be taken seriously every now and then. No problem, Gobbet. I look forward to the next one. Yeah, me too. Now gotta move on. I got Gobbet things to do. I wonder if we just, like, leave the ship and come back. Oh. Perfect. Alright. She looks up from the saucepan, blinking. A corner of her mouth twitches upward, but the half-smile falls off almost immediately. Oh, hey, Seattle. Caught me at a bad time. I was just making dinner. Yeah, it looks that way. Wouldn't it work better if you cut it into smaller pieces first? Huh? She blinks down at the duck, and her mouth dips into a frown. Yeah, that's probably smarter, wouldn't it? I'm not really thinking clearly today. I'm ready for my next lesson. No lessons today, Seattle. I'm not up to feeling it, or I'm not feeling up to it. What's wrong? You don't look very good. It's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I felt, I don't know, preoccupied with the sinking ship. She rubs the bridge of her nose with a pair of greasy fingers, leaving smudges of duck fat behind. I don't really do the whole haunted by the demons of my past thing. I mean, that's fine for some people, but I'm allergic to drama. Generally, when thoughts of the past get me down, I remind myself that it doesn't matter. I laugh it off and go have a snack. This, I don't know, it's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I haven't been able to get the sinking ship out of my mind. She looks down at the pot full of mangled duck on the counter, closes her eyes. I guess I'm worried about Kat and Mal, which is weird, because why would I be? I mean, I haven't even spoken to them in years. Hell, if anything, they should be worried about me. I'm the one who gets shot at for a living. We should go check it out. The sinking ship isn't far, is it? No, I don't want to do that. At least not without a good reason. It would be awkward. I'm sure that's nothing anyways. Actually, check that. I know what this is. It's my own personal version of the same thing we're all feeling. The psychic sewage that's being dredged up in all of us by whatever's happening in the walled city. She smacks her thigh, leaving a handprint of duck fat on her trousers. Tell you what, that's what we should be talking about right now. The damned wall city. It's what's really doing this to all of us. But as luck would have it, we're hot on the trail of the plastic-faced guy, and he should have some answers for us. Answers about your dad, if nothing else. You're changing the subject. Are you sure you don't want to go check on the sinking ship? Right at this moment, that's the last thing that I want to do. Look, we only got one thing left on our plate, right? We go get the plastic-faced guy. I mean, we've done everything else. I don't want to throw us off by taking you on a scenic tour of the floating garbage heap. Screw that place. I was done with it years ago anyways. My problem isn't with the sinking ship. It's with my dreams of the sinking ship. So that's what I need to deal with. And with your help, I will. Alright, we'll go to the run. Good. Stepping into Gobbet's cabin, you find her crouching on the floor. She appears to be midway through a valiant struggle against an enormous pastry. Her cheeks bulge like a chipmunk's, and wispy threads of pork floss hang from her crumb-speckled lips. She glances up at you, her eyes wide with alarm. Her jaw works to manage the enormous quantity of crispy dough in her mouth, but she doesn't seem to be making much headway. You know, between the two of you, my money's on the pastry. She struggles to move her jaw, but her mouth is stuffed too full to make much headway. She gestures feebly towards a pitcher of water on the ground near her feet. I hand her the pitcher. She tilts back the pitcher and sucks down its contents. As water pours down into her mouth, she's slowly able to work through the food stored in her cheeks. Finally, she lowers the water pitcher, coughing. Okay, notice out the pastry terrace on Prince Edward Road makes them dry. She takes another swig from the pitcher, grimacing. Moist green apple and jellied trotter my ass. That thing was a dessert made of pig. Maybe you shouldn't have tried to cram the entire thing into your mouth at once. I was challenging myself for science. It wasn't the whole pastry, just half of one. She lifts the remaining pastry for your inspection. The pork floss that coats the exterior looks almost festive. It's more reminiscent of a beige, curly tinsel than it is food. You, want the rest? I'll take it. She blinks in surprise. Really? Then it's all yours. Here, catch. She tosses the remaining pastry to you. It sails through the air, glistening suggestively in the dim cabin light. Catch it. You snatch the flying pork, break out of the air. It's surprisingly dense, with a heft roughly equivalent to that of a softball. I'll eat it. You raise the pastry to your lips and take a bite. Seconds later, you can feel all moisture in your mouth evaporate. Gobbet wasn't lying. This thing is dry. The flavor is surprisingly palpable, though. Can't believe you ate that. I'm impressed. She blinks at me in astonishment. If I ever get another one of those again, I'm going to let it sit in a bowl of condensed milk for at least half an hour before trying to put it in my mouth. That might help, I don't know, reconstitute it, I guess? I don't know, might work. Anyways, you probably want to talk about what happened on the raft, huh? I think in your place I would. Still having bad dreams about the ship? Nah, nope, don't worry about it. Everything's just fine on the raft, I'm sure, and even if there were something going on, we got bigger fish to fry. In this analogy, the evil curse of the walled city is a fish, and I'm not sure how well that works now that I think about it, but just roll with it, okay? Alright, Gobbet, you holding up okay? I'm fantastic, Seattle. You never need to worry about me. I really mean that, by the way. You've had my back this far, you should know I got yours. Thanks, Gobbet, I mean that. Good, now, was there something else you wanted to talk about? Any thoughts about the last run? No, not really. That's the same thing as last time. Let's see if she has anything else to talk to us about. Nope, okay. Well, we're done talking to her now. Let's go see Gaishu and see if he has anything left for us to talk about. And then we'll be done this video. We're at 40 minutes, so it's a little bit longer, but that's okay. Maybe we won't be able to get their side quests. Do we wait too long to talk to them or something? I don't know. He wants to speak later, he's distracted, so I guess that's it. We will end the video here. Like always, if you have any suggestions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time. I guess we're going to Prosperity Tower, which means... do we miss their side quests? I don't know. It's possible that we didn't talk to them enough between missions. Although I thought I did talk to them between pretty much every mission, so... Anyways, we'll figure it out. Like always, take care. See you next time.